Latest terror attack in Turkey. A suicide bomber has hit Ishtikal Street, a busy, crowded shopping area. Reports of fatalities are coming through, people injured. Istanbul is on high alert. It was only back in January, if you remember, that Istanbul was the target of an Islamic State suicide bombing, killing a number of German tourists. The capital itself, Ankara, has been the scene of terror attacks. Most recently, last weekend, 37 people killed, a Kurdish rebel group claiming responsibility, a so-called revenge attack. For more than one reason, Turkey is a dangerous country right now. Violence spreading over the border from the nightmare that is the Syria conflict, an ongoing battle with Kurdish forces, and the constant threat of ISIS attacks within its own borders. Just to be clear, the violence between the Turkish government and the PKK has been raging for decades now. That isn't new. ISIS is a relatively new phenomenon, though, a relatively new security threat. And of course, there is tension between Turkey and Russia still. Add to this the massive refugee crisis, and you have a country which is becoming more and more unstable. The Turkish president has been criticised for his heavy-handedness and authoritarian approach to dealing with the nation's problems. Increased terror attacks are now really likely in Turkey. More killings, more bombings. As long as the Syria civil war continues, this part of the world remains on fire, so to speak. How can this be resolved? I don't know. What of the latest EU-Turkey deal? Part of the deal says, for every Syrian migrant sent back to Turkey from Europe, one Syrian in Turkey will be resettled somewhere in the EU by a willing host nation. Basically, irregular migrants arriving on the Greek islands are going to be sent back to Turkey as of Sunday, tomorrow. This latest deal is an attempt to put people off from trying this really dangerous sea crossing between Turkey and Greece. So those who don't apply for asylum in Greece, or those who have their claim rejected, will be sent back to Turkey. The EU is going to take Syrian refugees from camps in Turkey to be resettled in various European countries. Okay? Now, I don't believe the UK is in on this resettlement programme, as far as I know. What is Turkey getting out of this? Well, billions of euros and visa waivers for Turks travelling in certain parts of Europe. And apparently Turkey seems to have an appetite for getting talks up and going again regarding the possibility of EU membership. Chancellor Osborne spoke about this prospect recently. From what I could gather, it isn't likely to happen anytime soon. The United Kingdom does have a veto power on this, as do other EU countries. I think France and Austria would not allow Turkey to become an EU member. I don't think the Greeks or the Hungarians would be keen on it either, to say the least. And Cyprus is likely to block anything which could lead to Turkey joining the European Union. Turkey is still a hugely popular tourist destination, although it may have lost out on a few $billion in 2015 alone. Despite this, Turkey's tourist industry is a multi-billion-dollar business. Yeah, it's one of the world's leading destinations. Tens of millions of visitors annually. But I'm sure there are many Turkish civilians and tourists in Ankara and Istanbul who aren't feeling as comfortable as maybe they would have been even, say, as little as a year ago. Now, as far as this most recent attack goes, I haven't heard anyone claiming responsibility for this as of yet, so watch this space. We're going to have to wait and see.